Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Mortgage Heroes Weekly Podcast. I'm Andy.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Will.
And today, the guys and I are going to talk about 4 more industry-related articles. You guys, this week, we are back to the conversation, will the housing market crash? But millennials are betting that it won't. And we're going to get into some of the details and deep dive into some of that and some of the why.
Houses before spouses.
Houses before spouses, a new term to me. So brand new right out of the gate. Brian, great find. 3 of these 4 articles today, Brian found for us to discuss. So good job, Brian. We're going to go over
Millennial.
From
Hey, Will, welcome back.
Welcome back again, second week in a row. Hey, last week we welcomed you back. This is going to be our tradition now. Welcome every week.
We're just welcoming Will back.
So you guys, we're going to go, we have 4 things to go over today. Is the housing market going to crash from bank rate? Houses before spouses from ABC News. Should you wait for mortgage rates to buy a house from U.S. News? And then rates climbing for the 4th week in a row from Yahoo Finance. So a lot of new sources on the show today. So we're going to go right from the top, guys. Is the housing market going to crash? What the experts are saying from bankrate.com. Okay, so their takeaways to reference here, guys, are mortgage rates are high, but home prices keep rising, and you can blame the lack of housing supply. Economists are predicting that any market correction will be modest and not on the scale of the Great Recession. Agree with that. And experts don't expect a housing market crash, but due to low inventory, strict lending standards, and other factors, it's likely to just kind of hold its place. You guys agree with this, yes?
No, it's so true. It's a lot different than the mortgage meltdown back in 2008, right? Where you had a heartbeat and a credit score and you get a home. It didn't matter. That's what it was, right? Nowadays, it's very different. We really have to consider the factors of your income, who's applying, your credit scores. It is a lot stricter.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that the article mentioned, piggybacking off what you said, well, that wages haven't risen enough to combat home prices. So that's honestly, I think, the biggest issue of all compared to houses not being available for people to buy. Well, you can have houses, but they might not be able to afford them either way.
Yeah, exactly. The affordability isn't mathing out. I know we've talked about this a lot, but in this article, at least Bankrate's even citing Lawrence Yun from NAR, the chief economist from NAR, the National Association of Realtors. Prices will remain firm and will not decline on a national level. And, he cited here, anytime home prices outpace people's incomes, that's not good. The result is a squeeze on first-time home buyers, but repeat buyers can rely on gains from the housing market and their stock portfolio to finance purchases. Here's my note. Must be present to win. You guys remember that term? Like when you're doing like a raffle or something, like must be present to win.
Yeah, exactly.
Same, in my opinion, same thing applies here. Like must be in the market to win. If you are out of the market, you're currently not winning in the market, and you got to be in it in order to gain the way he's talking about here.
No, absolutely. I think that people are becoming more aware of this. It's becoming more of a standard. And people are just like, hey, I already know rates are going up, but I also know that they're going to go down. So I'd rather go into a home now because there's going to be less competition than when the rates go down. There's going to be even less of homes available. There's going to be more people I have to challenge with. So I think people, they're just getting a lot smarter.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we continue to give this information out. So
I think it's, I had this funny analogy I was thinking about the other day, and I was like, it's like housing hokey pokey. You put your right foot in, you put your right foot out, put your right foot in. Like people are like, I'm in. I don't want to be in. I want to go. I don't want to go.
Yeah.
Maybe I should. No, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should wait. Maybe I should go now. And, a lot of that is now just, it's what I'm trying to say, like the landscape has changed for everybody, right?
Exactly.
So if you're in the housing market, you have all-time high equity, and you probably are locked in at a really low rate. That's fantastic. You want to move, if you don't have to move, you don't got to.
Yeah.
If you want to move, then fine. You're going to make a lot more money than you would have 2 years ago on the sale. But maybe the rate may be a little bit higher for you right now. Okay, conversation about that. Yeah. But again, inventory is tight too. So you're going to be buying it like, let's say, the new market high as well as you're selling at the new market high.
I had a client tell me the other day while we were looking at a house, she's like, well, they were telling me that if I wait for 2025, I'm gonna be able to buy 2 for 1. and then I was like, wait, let's just break that logic down, right? So in order for that to happen, millions and millions of houses need to pop up overnight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If that does happen, then there's bigger problems. The economy probably went to shit.
Yeah.
And we have other things to worry about. If that happens, God, we're going to be in a world of hurt. I hope it doesn't happen. But like they said right here, you're not going to see houses price decline. There's just not enough inventory. Yeah. There's just no way. And compared to other years where there was plenty of inventory, like in 2007, 2008, now there's no inventory. So it's like we're staying steady Eddie.
Yeah, 2022 did that to us, right?
Yeah.
It's one of the lowest inventory that housing inventory we had. And it was just crazy. We're finally starting to have a little more supply.
Yeah.
You know, and so one of the things that they did say here is it's economics 101.
Yep.
Simple economics, supply and demand. It's just that simple. And we need a lot more. There's more buyers right now than there is sellers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the question everyone keeps asking is the market going to crash? And the simple answer is no, it's not. Now, on the real estate and mortgage side, has volume collapsed? Yes, absolutely. So that it's true for everything that's associated with real estate. Loan volumes are down.
Yeah.
The number of homes that are exchanging hands is down, even though inventory is up. Number of resold homes is kind of coming back a little bit.
Yeah.
We got new builders building more homes now. So there are some things that are, let's say, thawing out. But in general, the overall national collapse of home prices isn't happening. And it's more localized to, let's say, the industries connected to housing, because you can have less escrows, less title, less appraisals, less of this, that, and the other thing that are all connected. And that imbalance is just going to be the way it is. And we're not in a place where all of a sudden affordability is going to come back, because, again, that's contingent on inventory.
Yeah. And once again, this week we reached 32% more homes available than the same time last year.
Right.
This time of year.
So I mean, that's showing that people are coming out of the woodworks. They want to sell, they want to move, they want to transact, and they're seeing that there's nothing budging.
Yeah.
It's like you wait last year, the more that you wait, dude, things only got more expensive.
Yeah, no, exactly.
And the ones that are actually, you know, foot in and want to stay in, they're gonna have to make those sacrifices. And when I mean sacrifice, not like an arm and a leg, but you're gonna have to say, hey, maybe I don't get that extra square footage right now, but I do have a fixed payment that I know my rent isn't gonna spike up in the next coming years. I could weather it out and then wait.
Yeah. And earlier we mentioned millennials. Millennials, what's usually their first time home? You know,
Like a condo?
Like a condo, exactly. I just had a call this morning with a millennial, and he's like, I need a 3-bedroom. You know, because my family's growing. I have my 2 daughters and I like to get an office, and my wife doesn't have the office etiquette. We're sharing the same office and we work from home majorly. So I need a 4-bedroom now, right? One office for me, one office for them. The girls could still share their room, right? So he asked me for my advice, and I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm not a big fan as an investor holding on to condos. Why? Because of the HOA situation. So in this case, he's like, you know what? Yeah, I'll put it to sell, but how does that work? And I just told him there's a simple clause right there that you can put, contingent upon seller finding suitable home. And I think we're going to start seeing more of that.
Yeah, that's a great example. And I think that, you know, even that is kind of another part of what they were referring to here, is it's kind of like there's localized results because of localized reasons, right? It could be hyper localized to your actual family or work situation, or just the city that you live in, because, you know, even the economists cited here, they're saying, like, look, if there is a correction, it's going to be mild, if at all, okay, and that's a lot to do with inventory and demand. Even at elevated prices and elevated mortgage rates, people are clearly trying to get in, because psychologically they're like, oh, well, I'm either in the market or I'm not. And so if you're frustrated by being on the outside looking in, people are like, well, I'm frustrated. Well, if it costs me to get in, I'm just going to do it. So people are doing that. But to answer the question about if it's going to crash or not, it really is localized. You're going to see some places where there's going to be softening. But here's what I'm going to remind everybody. You're going to be talking about a softening of, let's say, 5 to 10% on a city that had a 40% increase over the last 24 months.
So you're still running positive.
So you're still really hot. You're like, oh my gosh, like let me use, I'll say Austin, Texas as an example.
Yeah.
You go, oh, Austin has a 10% price decline over the last 6 months. Like, okay, well, it was like 40, 50 or something crazy like that for 24 or 36 months. You're fine. You're fine. So just remember, that's always in the context of it. And, you know, I know we also have to kind of talk to people who are maybe frustrated as well. They have not been able to get in. They've been waiting on the sidelines, and now waiting on the sidelines hurts you more, because if you're waiting for rates to drop, guess what? Prices are going to stay or go higher, and there's going to be more people fled to be more competition.
Yeah.
And you might see more inventory, but that's going to have an equivalent number of people who have the demand for it.
Yeah. I mean, the crazy part about it, we've been pivoting the last year, working with more investors. And where we're telling them, oh, yeah, you're going to do this fix and flip. It's going to be 11%, 12%. There's no hesitation. Just give me the money, because they understand that the future of that matters most. I'll be able to kind of flip that, make X amount of money, and it allows me to just go into my next venture, you know? So it's just pretty crazy to see these things.
And that's a perfect way to, you know, help your clients, condition them to start looking at things through like the investor's lenses, because right now I feel like on the contrary, residential is all emotion. Like, this house, what am I gonna do with this space? The rooms are too small. The closet, where am I gonna put my freaking shoes, my Birkin bag? But you you start to realize that at the same time, all that doesn't matter because if your house is your shelter, I mean, you could do whatever you want to it. It's about right now. What can you afford right now? And if that payment is good, I feel a lot of people are like, they're thinking about the future, but right now it's not a time to think about the future. It's like, what can I afford right now? And then that's going to help you propel to your future.
That's why I'm excited that you brought the next article. It's pretty cool with the millennials. Because it's just so different the way they're thinking. Yeah. Far from when I got into my first home, et cetera. It's just way different. The mindset, how they're looking at things, just like, this is not my forever home.
Yeah, there's a major shift in the psychological approach to homeownership right now. And type of home is kind of like a whole subset of that. But like the idea of homeownership is completely shifting. We talked a lot about renting versus owning. There have been actually a lot of comments on our videos recently about people who are renting and then taking the difference and they're investing it or they're saving it. And we have a lot of people that are like, no, I bought a house because I needed to buy a house because of my conditions and my circumstances, whatever. And I get that too. The one thing before we jump ahead, I want to make sure that we review and revisit this. From March of 2020 to March of 2024 is the median home price went from $280,000 to up to $413 at one point. Yeah. Back down around 400, kind of came below to like 380, and it's like right 393. I mean, this number kind of changes based on your data source. But here's the deal: 4 years ago, it was 280. Yeah, that's the point. It was 280 4 years ago. Let's just call it 400 for now for easy math. That is a substantial increase, and to address people who are having a problem accepting our terminology that there's going to be risk if you do, risk if you don't. Yeah. This is the example I keep talking about.
Yeah, but there always is.
That's what I'm saying. There's always risk. Number one, there's a risk for sitting on the sidelines. Well, guess what? If you bought at 280 and you're seeing at 400 now, you just lost out on that. What if you're buying at 400 now? Well, what if it goes back to 280 again? The conditions for which that were to happen would have to have 5 variables change economically at the macro level for that to occur.
And at that point, good luck if your house is still up. You might not even we have bigger problems at that point. That's the least of your problem. Your house dropped. God,
pointing that out, this is what's crazy. I went to go preview, 5 sites where those investors are. One of the guys is like, he wants to build 5,000 homes in 10 years. That's his goal, and that's the actual name of his LLC. 5,000 homes. Right? That's his thing because he just wants to do that. We went to this property and 6 years ago, this gentleman one of these investors bought this piece of land right in front by the airport, and he got it for $595, and it was just a dump. It was a breakdown. People are like, you're so dumb, bro. Why would you get that property? Well, I showed you the video this morning, right? He ended up splitting the actual lots into 3 and build them 2,300 square feet right in front of the airport. And
3 units?
On one piece of land.
And they're each 2,300 feet?
Exactly. And they're all 3-story.
Oh my God.
I mean, they're beautiful. If we could show them later, we can show them later. But so Andy, check this out, though. He bought it for $595 6 years ago. Yep. Obviously, it takes money to get the permits and do all that stuff that you have to do, right?
Let me get my beans.
On one of them, the middle unit, you got middle. The last one that's closer to the airport has a better view and unobstructed. Sold for 2.6. The middle one sold for 2.2. The third one, that's highest of all of them, because it's kind of like in this tier, he actually has no obstructed view either, right? 2.4.
All right. So we might get ate up in the comments, but how much did it cost for that to get built?
So per hard cost was $1,025,000. And what they mean by that hard cost is what built the structure, because then you have the other soft cost that's going to be for the walkway. And here's the other thing in San Diego.
The garnishing.
Yeah, you have to actually pay for the pavement because you made holes to get electricity, plumbing and all that. Yeah, they have to do the whole street.
Oh, wow.
So they have to do the whole street, that sidewalk. So sometimes we're walking the city.
Oh, so that sidewalk.
The city did the sidewalk. That's the investors, whenever their investors are doing it.
And it goes from where their first property to the end of the property, and that's the only nice sidewalk there is.
No.
Super clean. Oh, they do the whole thing?
The whole thing. Everything has to match. Oh, those are the rules. Those are the when you're looking at those things. But even then, going to Andy's point, there's risk. There was risk. At that point in time, that house was too much for what it should have been purchased for.
Right.
But when you have that vision of what you're able and capable of doing, then that just makes the world of a difference.
Yeah, that vision executed and put into action right now is just a quick math: $7.2 million of value or sale value. And you said $1,025,000. Did you mean $1 million and a quarter?
$1 million, yes.
$1.25
million. $1,025,000.
Oh, so 1,025.
Exactly.
Oh, geez, that's even crazier.
Exactly.
Okay, so his build cost was less than $1.75 million of build cost, not including the soft cost or whatever. But that's a crazy value add.
But that's 6 years, right? And people think like, oh, you're making it because it's right away. No, but this was a 6-year headache.
Tell me, what investment gives you that return in 6 years?
Exactly.
Like, I mean, without you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a great story. I'm glad you told that because again, we talk about risk a lot, and there's risk for doing things and risk for not doing things. Not every situation is going to turn out that way, but again, you're talking about someone who took a risk, number one, 6 years ago to buy for $595. You said
yes.
Okay, and then for 6 years, it's been a work in progress.
Absolutely.
So there's been, I'm going to say, zero return because there's been zero return for 6 years.
It's been expenses just being paid out.
You're bleeding out cash or borrowing money or whatever it is. You're debt servicing that along the way. So obviously, our costs are probably running more than $2 million total here.
Yeah.
But even after that, let's say you're still clearing $4 or $5 million after all costs and expenses. That's a tremendous value, and you have to do these kinds of things. But that's someone who is either was already walking into it confident or hoping to build confidence along the way, but seeing what they wanted to see long term and was patient. I think patience is missing from the market a lot right now.
Yeah,
it's like risk aversion number one, lack of patience number two, and I want an immediate return, which kind of go hand in hand, but.
It's tough.
Not that.
No, this is not. Real estate is not right. It's not a quick return. It takes time.
Just like for sure return.
In some places, but this is in some places, right? We also hear horror stories in some other cities, in other states where, builders can't sell the homes.
Yeah.
They're on the market, but it just, again, because we're in San Diego, we're landlocked. It's a different story.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's an amazing story. I just think that it's what's funny about that is it kind of it weaves into what this article was talking about anyways, because there are things that they're for reasons they're not going to be a housing crash, and this is one of them. Like, yes, you can take one lot and turn it into 3, but that still doesn't. You'd have to do that so many hundreds of times to absorb demand. To absorb the demand that it's not happening. Part of what they talk about in the article is that builders aren't building quick enough. We're mentioning that some builders have built maybe too many homes in other places, not here. We need more here in San Diego. Our lending standards are still going to be tight. Inventories are still low. Yeah. And, it's just elevated higher prices for longer. Even the prices you're citing right now, 2.2 million, 2.4, and 2.6, something like that. Man, that's a pretty penny.
Yeah, I mean, one of the investors, the one that bought it for 2.6, is going to be his temporary home, and he's more looking towards Airbnb in it. So people are finding other ways how they can keep these properties and make a profit of it. I do like to touch a point here with the homes held steady, even as mortgage rates soared to the 8% back in October of 2023, and we saw that our business came to a freaking halt. Do you guys remember that? It was like crickets.
Yeah.
Like, what happened? Who changed everything? Right. Reaching the highest level in more than 23 years.
Yeah.
That's history made, and it's crazy. Yep. And then it says here, they have since dipped, falling briefly below 7% before averaging 7.33% in Bankrate's weekly survey release April 17th. We saw that big climb in interest rates within a week, 2 weeks, back to, it kind of felt like October.
Yeah.
The only difference, and I'm sure you would agree, Brian, it's like, it didn't come to a complete stop. We did much more loan applications, and we got more open escrows than we did back at that time. In like 2-3 months, right? That it took us, we did it right. Still, everything changed, but yet people still like, nope, get me in my property. I need to get in there. It's crazy. It's different.
That cultural shift I keep talking about. I think it's because people are like, oh, well, you know what? I didn't buy when it was high before. Yeah. They're going back to that rate. I better do it now. I better do it now.
What I'm seeing also is that even the headlines and the articles and the information that's being put out is getting people to condition, like, forget about the rates. Like, that's not the problem. Inventory. So now people are like, that's the rate. We need houses. Where's the houses at? Like, let's go. And that prompts people to start saying, like, hey, shoot, I might not have a house next year. I might not be able to get a house next year. who cares if rates are damn low?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
going to be even less houses.
Yeah. Well, that's actually a great pivot to the next article that you brought us today, Brian, which was that houses before spouses, new term to me.
Hey.
Millennials and Gen Z opting to co-buy homes with friends. So houses before spouses is a growing movement encouraging millennials and Gen Zers to work with friends to become homeowners instead of waiting for marriage. Culture shift.
Yeah.
Major culture shift.
Dude, I heard that you saying it right now, and I just got the chills. It's crazy, right? Like it's crazy.
Even for my generation, I feel we were still behind that curve. Like
Yeah.
we're barely starting to get it, and I'm pushing 30. But I feel for the younger generation, like Ashton, like people
Yeah.
that are his realm, they're growing up with this entrepreneurial mindset, with this, I gotta figure out a better way. I gotta figure out how I can get comfortable, but in the way that still I can produce what I want. And I think this is a perfect example that moving forward, we're gonna start seeing a lot of roommates become homeowners.
Yeah.
And they're starting to understand the power of being able to leverage equity, leverage these investments. And these kids are smart. Just
time.
because they don't want to do what we want them to do or what society wants them to do, they want to do what they want to do, and they're darn good at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think this is a huge momentum pusher for people to say like, hey, well, shoot, we don't have to rent forever. Why not start now?
Exactly.
Or we're already basically paying $5,000, $6,000
Yeah.
together on a house. Why don't we just, we all have good jobs. We just graduated college. Some of us, like we can do this instead of paying, a $3,000 rent. We could buy a house and live a good life.
And here's the thing. I mean, I think the reason why they're more encouraged and more prone to take that risk is because we were when I grew up. We were Facebook. Well, I still kind of put you in there, but you're not. I was Facebook.
Yeah.
And that was about it, right? Andy was Facebook. Then Snapchat came in. You come
I'm
in.
Instagram.
It's Instagram, so it's very different. Then Ashton, then TikTok and all these other platforms now that are changing, that it's more prone to, that audience. It's just nuts. That information they're getting, that entrepreneurial mindset that, hey, if you can do it, then I can do it. And it's pretty cool to see that.
And one of the things that I like what it said here, your first house doesn't have to be your dream house, and it could be a stepping stone to get there. And that's 100% because
time.
think about it. You buy an investment, you do a multi-unit property. Those are pretty good, and they appreciate pretty darn well, wherever you're at. But at the end of the day, you sell that, you guys have enough to do either a down payment for your own properties or buy a next investment, whatever it is. You have options, you have a stepping stone. You're not coming out of pocket. You don't got to ask for a gift. Like, you built that.
Yeah, and what's cool about it is that they're looking at it like, hey, we're going to go in there. This is not our forever home.
No.
This is not our forever home. Where when we were looking at these homes, it's like, this is longer. I don't know if I do love this property, And so then, you just kind of have the tendency of staying there longer. The other thing that what happens, like with my age group, sorry, I keep saying it, I'm a little older. It's like, we don't want to turn our garage, which is a storage. Honestly, you store your car in there. You store your Christmas, your Halloween stuff. It serves as storage, But now that they brought the whole ADU rules here in California, these millennials are looking for like, I don't need a 2-car garage. I'll put my car out there, and it's okay if it gets washed by the rain. Right? We don't even care if it gets clean, however it does. But I'm going to leverage that 20 by 20, which is 400 square feet of garage, create value off of that, and turn it to a 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom, and then Airbnb that thing.
So smart.
They're just way
The perspective is like, they look at a house. Yeah, that'll rent.
Yeah,
that'll rent.
Yeah, I think a lot of this has that overtones of just the cultural shift
Yeah.
of the approach to real estate. Number one, number two, I think it's also a response to what the marketplace is offering to younger generations as far as employment is concerned, and what we would call like the old way of being employed and working at a place for a long time. That's been long gone for years.
Yeah.
You don't go work at one place and you're just there forever, right? I mean, unless you're us and we're doing this. Outside of that. Side note, but no, like the younger generations are looking for freedom and flexibility, financial
100%.
creativity. And although older generations might say, "Oh, that's really risky," look at not doing some of those things is now risky.
Yeah.
Now it used to be, "Oh yeah, you're right. That's really risky to go start that thing over there or to try that over there." And do it. But again, the landscape has changed and the game is different.
Yes.
There's a lot of different ways to make money right now. I mean, there was not affiliate marketing 10 years ago the way there is now.
Nope.
Now there's a lot more competition and whatever,
Yeah.
but look how creative people are in social space doing affiliate marketing to make some side money, or maybe that's their primary income, and they're making tens of thousands of dollars a month by simply marketing and promoting other people's goods and getting paid a commission for doing so.
Yeah. I mean, we've been representing a lot of military. They're coming in, they're getting PCS, and they're not married.
No.
but they qualify for that 550 in the Oxnard area. You know, we do some loans over there. And when I call them, it's, hey, how's your first month in living in a home? You know, how are you coping with that payment? They're like, bro, it's great. I already rented one of the rooms for $1,500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
See?
And then I got another room. If it's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath, I already got the other one too for another $1,200. Like they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
They're figuring it out. And this is why I love that. I'm glad that you brought that article, because it's so cool. It's so motivating and encouraging for the younger people getting into it. And even me, like, hey, I like doing ADUs. I just got to go out there and create more of these.
Yeah.
And I think it's taking off that emotional point of view and looking at it like, okay, long-term investment, and then that's going to get me to where I want to be.
Yeah. I mean, what was so crazy, well, it's cool actually, is in this article that we were talking about, the houses before spouses, these two gals, Christina and Stephanie, they own 24 houses.
24.
24 houses already.
House hacking, right?
By house hacking. So, okay, one or two of those, or maybe, but only
one or two.
one of those, or maybe two of them we own on our own.
Yeah.
We partnered on every single other one with our sisters and our friends and our parents. And houses before spouse is a way of saying you don't have to do this in a traditional way. Wow. So here's what I'm curious about. If you're watching this part of the show, I want to know if you're a house hacker. Comment below if you're a house hacker or you're an aspiring house hacker. If you are watching this in the segments part of Mortgage Heroes, click in the description box. You'll actually get the link to this article, because post an emoji or post a comment or something that lets us know if you are also house hacking and what generation you're in. I'm really curious to know.
That'd be pretty cool.
Also, if you're living with your boyfriend and your girlfriend, house hack, houses before spouses, still not married. Follow me for more tips.
And it's so cool, again, going back to our era, with my parents, with my mom, she would tell me, mijo, no, partners, no. It always, you always have a conflict. You always have a problem. What I'm noticing with these people, like, they're getting so smart. Like, they're just having that patience. Like, it's just crazy. Like, 24 homes, like, that's crazy, right?
Well, but then also they've done 600 of these helping other people do this.
Yeah.
And I think that the operational agreement's the referee in the room. I think that's the deal. Is like if you get some sort of operational agreement in place, then that becomes the referee. It's not like, I said this and you said that and you're going to do this. No, what's the operating agreement say?
Correct.
Well, that's the referee. The referee's going to call foul on you, foul on me, or whatever, and also have terms for how things need to be, let's say disbanded if they go sideways or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot more people are going to start becoming domestic partners.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's already happening. Right?
I didn't know that was an actual thing until somebody at our office told me that the other day. Like, that's we file as my domestic partner. I was like, ha ha ha. He's
no,
it's not like it's on my text.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, you can do that?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, babe.
Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, true. LLCs also, especially, I'm sure they have an LLC already, some type of corporation. They have to have like an operating agreement that describes who owns what, how you're going to own exactly. So that way you're not stepping in each other's toes. Every partner's doing what they're supposed to do, and that keeps everybody in line. What's cool about it with an LLC, I mean, you guys can review this, but you could just have an operating agreement into that LLC. And so if the relationship doesn't work, you don't have to dissolve that LLC.
The agreement
it's just the agreement, the operation agreement. You could dissolve that. So that's a good thing about that.
Definitely a good way to go, though. Have something that is kind of the arbiter of your agreement and your arrangement that isn't just what your word is versus my word and that kind of thing. So,
they actually have a real estate brokerage called Open House in Austin.
That's what I'm saying. They did 600 of these already. They helped other people do 600 of these already.
I didn't know that, Andy.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. When you create success like that, it's a lot easier for you to just put it out there and get it done.
Oh, man. Captain
But he
Obvious
did say that, Brian.
That's why I looked at him. I didn't know that.
my coffee.
No, that's okay.
I'm going to go,
It's okay. I wrote back someone the other day. I'm like, guy on the left. Like, hey, someone needs to tell the guy on the left. I'm like, da-da-da-da-da, guy on the left. Thank you.
God, right. I'm guy in the middle. Thank God.
From U.S. News and World Report, should you wait for mortgage rates to fall to buy a house? Yes. I don't know. Guys, we talk about this, but I actually want to show a graph here because on the screen you're going to see this rate impact on national home prices, and then you're also going to see the home price index versus the 30-year mortgage rate. Okay, so the left part of the screen you're going to see the home price index, and then you're going to see where mortgage rates have kind of like gone along, and then we had the bottom of 2021 and 2022 where mortgage rates were at their lowest historically ever. We refinanced half the planet. Everyone, I don't know, some crazy percentage of homeowners have a rate lower than 4%. But then you start seeing, in that same time, you see the prices march up and to the right. And then prices hit their peak kind of the summer of 22. I usually say that was like June of 22 is when we kind of saw like the local high for real estate. And the rates just started marching up in March of 22 at the same time. So, here's the conundrum. By waiting to buy a house, houses are now more expensive than maybe you can afford. When they were this expensive and the rate was low, your monthly payment was attainable. But now the price is still this high and the rate is high, and it's literally just squeezing people out.
Yeah.
So what is our advice to people who are feeling like they have been squeezed out and they're discouraged? What would you want to tell them to do? Should they continue waiting to buy a house, or should they do something different?
So I think patience doesn't always pay off for buyers who are trying to time the market. And if you see these big economists not being able to time the market, measure the market, or predict the market correctly, what tells you that as a normal new home or a home buyer that you're going to be able to understand the trenches of real estate?
Yeah.
I feel that you need to focus on what you can control. What do you want from the house? What's your needs? What's your emotional versus rational, decisions when taking that property, and really understanding if you can make that financial payment for maybe a good 5 years. And if you could withhold that payment, there's going to be windows of opportunity where you can ease that. Yeah. But I feel that it really comes down to, you can't time the market. You can't control the market. I mean, we've been seeing it. Rates do whatever they want to do, but you can control what you want. You can control the motivation of how you're going to do what you want to do. And you could really pinpoint what you're going to use the investment for. Like we've been talking about, now people are looking at it like, hey, I want to flip this house, or I want to rent it out, or I want to make an investment of this house. Yeah. So I think that's what my advice would be for people that.
I'm glad that you bring up the whole government, the whole Fed, the whole, the predictions of what's going to happen in the market.
Predictions.
How many predictions was it that the Fed is going to reduce the Fed funds rate?
Well, the predictions were all over the place, right? It was like, maybe 6 to 8, nope.
6 to 8,
3 to 4, nope.
And right now, we're kind of iffy if it's going to happen in September. Yeah. But there was already like a 50-60% chance that it was going to happen in June.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's not going to happen.
Honestly, I'm not confident saying that it's going to happen.
And that, to your point, absolutely. You got to identify what your true vision is, what you're able and capable of doing in the now, right? And what you're willing to sacrifice, because everything comes at a sacrifice. Are you willing to sacrifice Ruth Chris, every other month?
That's an HOA payment.
Willing to just go and stick to the dollar menu at Jack in the Box? I know there's no more dollar menu, but those are the things that you have to do, right? Are you willing to leverage your garage and convert it into an ADU? Once you get in there, there's multiple ways that you can actually have that help to get you to that, to that affordability. But you just gotta tell yourself what you're willing to do.
You've been saying that word vision, and recently I've been thinking, and I've been having talking to other people about your vision, your personal vision. Yeah. And sometimes all the time, the vision that you have is yours only. So when you share with somebody else, they might not see it, but that's okay. As long as you're able to see the vision, even when it's not there. Yeah. The little things that you're doing is like that 1 foot in front of the other, 1 foot in front of the other. Yeah. And if you have the vision, dude, that in itself is a win, because some people have no vision and they don't know where they're going. So if you have a vision and a plan, you're already way more ahead than a lot of people. And I think that's the biggest thing that gets overlooked, that people are just like, house. Well, let me plan this out just like I plan anything else. Like this is in itself should be planned out. It's not just an impulsive buy. It's as emotional as it's rational. Yeah. And I think you really have to have a good understanding.
I mean, I've been very comfortable for the last few years, but now looking at everything that's happening in our market, the economy, seeing that now I'm a grandfather, right? That's why I was absent the last two, and welcome me again. But my new motivation and vision is to facilitate more of the process for them. Because I know, guys, is it going to be easier for Santi to purchase a home in the next 15 years versus what we can do
No.
right now?
No.
So for me, it's kind of like if that alone is not an incentive for your kids, I don't know what else will be.
Yeah.
But that's my new motivation is how do I help create this generational wealth with my true knowledge, expertise, and current resources that I have right now, and all the understanding I do understand in the market.
And let's talk about this. Like, really honestly, like, look, this is the problem in waiting. Since 2000 and let's just say since 2020. Okay, if since 2020 national home prices have gone up 44% and rents have also gone up at the same clip, then you're asked out of this.
Yeah.
You're being left in the dust.
Yeah.
And so the problem is with a risk exposure approach to this, you're saying, oh, well, if it's too risky to buy a house, well, then you are subjecting yourself to the market rent at whatever it is, wherever you live. And that direction only goes up. I have not seen a report come out in any of the national news, any of the local news, or any of the economic, real estate, and mortgage news that says rents are declining at a rapid pace in X amount of cities anywhere. They might be happening, again, super locally or hyper selectively for other reasons. But, unless there's an oversupply of places to rent, prices have not been plummeting. Yeah. So you are going to be missing out. And I hate to just say it so bluntly and, let's say, callously.
Yeah.
But that's the truth. There's risk exposure to this. Home prices are going to go up while you wait.
Yeah.
They just are. We'd have no evidence to suggest that home prices are going to plummet this year or next year. Yeah. We have no evidence yet of when mortgage rates are going to come down. We have no evidence yet of when inflation is going to ease up. We have no evidence yet of when there's going to be more unemployment or higher unemployment that the Fed needs in order to start justifying that they make some rate cuts. Yeah. So there's no evidence to support that waiting is going to help you. But what people can do along the way is bulk up your credit, pay down your debt. Keep those cards open after you pay them off. Don't close off credit cards that have really good credit history with no late payments. Maybe your balance is high, pay it down. That's good. Maybe figure out a side income. Maybe figure out a second income. If you're married and one of you is not working, maybe one of you needs to start to work. Yeah. Try to pad up your savings a little bit. If you have money invested in the market, let it ride right now. It's had a really good return. I mean, I'm talking about U.S. markets and indices right now. If you've been in the general market, it's been up for a while now. So maybe you just gotta leave some of your money. If you're going to be waiting and you're going to be patient, then leave some of your cash and your savings and your investments, leave them there for a while. And I think even if prices do go higher against you, if you can continue to save and have a bigger down payment and then add some more income and get your credit higher, I think those are really critical things that are going to help people get into homeowners.
I think we're done.
Flex the bag.
Well, I mentioned it because this specific article is really, again, it's talking about affordability, which I don't want to talk about anymore, at least for today. But,
You're talking about
their point is this. Lower rates could spark competition. Okay, well, how do you compete against that? Be better. Be better prepared. Be more capable than the next guy or the next gal. Be more ready. Have your file tightened up. Submit your documentation to your loan officer every month when you get new pay stubs. Submit your tax return to your loan team as soon as you get it back from your tax preparer, your IRS one and your state one. Okay. Mortgage rate trends are difficult to predict. Yeah, duh. The Fed's being data dependent, so that's not going to work in your favor. You're waiting on them.
And they keep switching how they determine this data.
Well, and I hate that. It's a whole separate thing for me because it kind of gives you you can like sidestep it here or sidestep it there whenever it's not going your way, and then still blame something else. Don't have to take credit, and also then wait for something later to fix.
It's just I feel that everything's so intertwined that one thing breaks, the other thing works, but then if everything breaks and this actually works, but we need that to work, so it just doesn't make sense because something's gonna break, something has to break, something's gonna.
So I want to go over these just at the top level. So number one, when does buying a home make sense? When you can afford the monthly payments, yes. When you plan on staying to the home for a little while, yes. And when buying a home won't drain your savings, yes. And also, based on our previous article about Millennials and Gen Z, when you have other willing participants to enter into an operating agreement where you all have some sort of executable assignment to that home and that property and the commitment to win together.
Well, here you have the previous article. You have the two partners that purchased 24 homes, house hacking.
Right.
Can they afford a payment now on their home?
Well, yeah.
When you own that many properties?
Right. Well, and the risk is spread. The risk is spread among all these other people they're doing that with, too.
But that's where it's at, right?
Yeah.
Like yes, these things can happen. You just got to find the right people to do it with.
Yeah.
And at the times that right people, that right person is right underneath your nose, right there.
Yeah.
you know, but we don't communicate it. We don't say we just want to try to do it on our own, and we put all this pressure on ourselves. When we could put pressure on all three, it's easier to go to sleep.
I think, and I'm gonna put this on the screen right now too, guys. This is gonna be the 30-year fixed rate mortgage forecast. Going to that really quickly because it's really about cash flow. It's really about cash flow and monthly budget. If your budget sustains what you want to do, go do it. If it does not, you can't, or maybe you just shouldn't. And then where you have cash flow, if you're house hacking and you're doing this, multi-ownership kind of operating agreement deal, then maybe this rate forecast doesn't matter to you.
Yeah.
If you're a single person buying a home, or you're married buying your own home, you're not worried about this investor stuff, cash flow and all that, then really it does become about the mortgage rates. But as you can see on this chart right here, they're not trending downward super fast over the long period of time. You're talking about going into 25 and through into 26, still above 5%, which I know 5% is low historically, but again, we're talking about historically rates being higher in the past when home prices were super low. Now we got elevated rates and elevated prices at the same time. Yeah. Not a good combination.
No, it's true. But these numbers still work.
Yeah. So we're going to close out today, guys, talking about mortgage rates because for the fourth week in a row, they have increased. Now, borrowing costs are hurting people, but you guys, and I see this here at the office, you guys continue having new files opening, and you're opening more escrows now in April than you were back in March and then February. So rates have been on the climb. At the same time, the buyers have become more hungry. What the heck's going on?
Again, I think it's fear of missing out. I think is the new standard, the new understanding, the new information that's coming. That now they're saying like, okay, I already know what's going to happen. This is a peaks and valleys situation. Right now interest rates are at its peak, but they're going to go down. What goes up must come down. Yep. Right. And so I just think that they understanding that information and just saying, I get it, especially when you're with the right person and we can break everything down. Right. Like on the ones that we got approved, she wanted to go with 20% down on an $850,000 purchase. But I broke all the numbers and I went FHA 3.5% down, right? It was a difference of $1,000 a payment.
Oh, a month?
A month.
Wow.
Between conventional putting 20% down, which was like $100,000.
That's going to be $170,000.
Right? So versus a 3.5%, which is like 28,000, something like that.
Yeah, 27.5, something like that.
26. And so what I suggested is I said, get out of that 170 that you already going to put down, put $24,000 aside. Pretend like your payment. Yeah, it's somebody else is going to make it. Put that money aside. In hopefully less than 2 years, we'll refinance. We're going to lower that and then switch it to conventional from FHA, right? Leverage that money and then utilize the other funds to do the remodel and everything that you were going to finance before.
Yeah. I want to make sure this is really clear to everybody watching. So what Memo's talking about is if her payment is going to go up by $1,000 a month by going to FHA because she's putting less money down and she has an FHA loan with mortgage insurance, you might be offsetting the mortgage insurance part if you put 20% down, but she's coughing about $170,000. Okay.
Correct.
Now, by doing so, her monthly payment is $1,000 more per month. So for 2 years, $1,000 more every month is $24,000.
Yes.
So effectively, she's stashing those acorns so that her net impact to her own budget isn't negatively impacted by her spending that $1,000 extra when she's already put it aside.
Correct.
So by doing so, she's buying herself 24 months of time in order to refinance. And if properties still go up over time a little bit, maybe she can get out of the mortgage insurance, maybe she can get out of FHA, get into conventional, and have a better loan to value ratio, and then her monthly payment will be more settled.
Correct. And now you don't have to go finance the other repairs like your windows, the flooring, and all that stuff costs money. And we already know when we borrow money, like at from Home Depot, what have you, the interest rate's like 24, 32%.
Super high.
Yeah. Right. So now you're using the same money that you were already considering to put into your mortgage. Why not keep that and go into this property, fix it up, and go into it like, whoa, this is a good move on my behalf.
And it maintains liquidity, which is, I think, is a really important part. You're talking about the part of it like where, okay, well, my borrowing cost versus to myself is less than it is borrowing from Home Depot or my credit card at 30% or whatever. But your liquidity is a big deal, especially if your monthly payment is going to be $1,000 more. You're already saying she's going to have a set aside for that. But even if there's unexpected expenses that come up that are not planned in the budget, if you will, over that same 24 months, well, then at least you have the cash already in your hand. And maybe it's in a savings account or a CD or something that's making you some good return. Put some of that money somewhere bearing interest. That'd be helpful too. Yeah. But that liquidity is a huge part, I think, in a plan like this.
Yeah. Not everybody. I mean, we got to consider also not a lot of people have that much money saved up, right? And in this case, she has $200-some thousand to do whatever she needs. It just makes more sense. I got a text from her yesterday. She was like, Will, what would I have done without you? Like, you just made my day, right? And I'm okay with that. Like, I want to put myself in those shoes. What would I do if I was in that situation? You know, and how do I leverage and maximize what I do have?
Yeah.
Because if I have 200 and some thousand, I go in this and let's just say it costs me 30,000 to fix up. I could still earn right now. I mean, I talked to my financial advisor. Last year was a great year. I earned 19.6% return on the investment.
Yeah.
She may be just doing the right thing too.
And look, I'm not going to beat around the bush and make people guess what he's talking about, but here's the deal, and we've seen this from our decades combined of lending. Once you put the money in the house, it's really hard to get it back out.
Correct.
Now, we talk, it's easy to do a home equity line of credit, not when your LTV is high. That is not not the case. So this advanced strategy he's talking about is to kind of like overcome that hurdle that once you put the money in the house, it's really hard to get out because there's not a lot of people that are going to be looking at you to refinance an $850,000 house at 90% LTV in this market. But when you're buying that house, they're your brand new money. You're not replacement money to them on the backside of the deal. Your new money, that's new money out, bearing new interest back to them. They're interested in that part.
Yeah.
So don't let that go by.
Yeah.
So I think one of the reasons, Lee, for me that I feel that I see the switch up in demand, even with the rates going higher, is because I feel in 2022 everybody was kind of lost and didn't know what the heck was happening because they had just come off low rates, cheap money. So the hangover was really hitting at the height of it, right? So 2023, people started kind of like, okay, drinking their electrolytes, kind of got a little bit more, up and going, and they're kind of understanding what was happening, but still like, why is this happening? 2024, you're like, okay, I see what's happening. I already understand more or less what are the solutions. Can I make that solution happen? Okay, great. Let's move forward. And now it's more or less about, the rate, the price. It's about, my situation. And I think that's what people are now cornering it down to, that it doesn't matter the price because prices are going to go high. Doesn't matter the rates. They go up and down. My situation is what doesn't change unless I make the decision. Yeah. So what do I need to do right now? And this is where I'm seeing right now where people are looking for solutions. They're done reading the headlines. They're done reading the negativity. Like, how do I get out of this? Or what's the actual step? Like, what can I do to better my situation? And one of the things that you said that was super surprising last week when we talked about our article, that people were doing their remodels on cash reserves over their equity. And the example you just gave is just like, you paid more over there because you think the cash, it's cash, it's free, but you're not really looking at it that the investment over here is leverage.
Yeah.
And you're still using the same money, but now you're putting your money at risk.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that this is going to be the story for several months, guys. Obviously, mortgage rates are not going the way everyone was predicting, and we've already talked about why it's so hard to predict, and there's a lot of variables of why it is difficult to identify where rates are going next and why. Well, I said that twice, but it's hard to know where they're going. But for those who are willing to take the risk and to venture into homeownership, it's always supposed to be a right time to buy. That's what everyone in Mark says. It's never the wrong time, always the right time. But it really does come down to you. It really comes down to your circumstances. Yeah. And so when you're talking to Will, you're talking to Brian, their job, our job is to let you guys know you should do this, or maybe you shouldn't. And sometimes you shouldn't is the right answer.
Yeah, I mean, the big example I can use is like wanting to take that vacation. Always saying, I want to take a vacation. No, just freaking book that vacation, right? Oh, I'm going to wait to have a kid. No, just have the kid. There's never such a thing of being in the right time at the right moment, right? True. Like, I mean,
I had two back.
I wish I had them all planned out, you know what I mean? But it wasn't like, sometimes it just didn't work like that.
Yeah.
And the homes, it wasn't like it was planned out. It was just one of those days like, hey, Tanya, I think we need another house. I think we just need bigger space, or I like the school district over there. Let's just go and do it.
Yeah.
And then once you get that first one, it always seems like the second, the third, the fourth just become easier.
Yeah.
And now you just understand it. It was just like yesterday I told you, I went with the investors, right? Here I am. Oh, I got 2 projects. I got an ADU. I'm building the garage into this. And the other one, we're going to do like 4 or 5 units in the back in the Imperial Beach one. And so I look at these guys and he's saying, I want to build 5,000 homes. I'm like,
yeah.
And then I look at the projects in less than 6 weeks, they're almost freaking, the framing's almost all done. I'm like, man, I am so just taking a long time overthinking it, and it's all in the action. We just got to create that action.
Yeah.
We got to use the resources. You guys know I'm one of those. I write my goal and my 2 affirmations. And one of my affirmations was I will learn to utilize my resources and not give a shit if I'm thinking I'm inconveniencing them. Yeah. Because we always think we're inconveniencing people. But no, if you don't ask, you're inconveniencing yourself.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, it is important, right? Especially right now. It's really important to rely on people who are doing the things that you are aspiring to do to talk to.
Yeah.
Ask the right questions, get the information you're looking to have, so you can make the best qualified decision for yourself. Yeah. And even as it pertains to the show, guys, I appreciate that. You can share that with people too. We're getting a lot more engagement in our comments right now, so I appreciate that. We're seeing a lot of good channel growth. Thank you guys for watching. I know we're covering a variety of topics. We try to stay to mortgage and real estate related things, but they are interconnected to a lot of other parts of your personal financial life and to the markets. So I'm hoping that you guys keep bringing the stories, bringing the value. There's a lot of people that are engaging, and I'm really happy and satisfied where we're at this point of the year. So thank you very much.
I mean, my goal is seeing people succeed.
Yeah.
When they're succeeding and they follow the advice that we gave them, and they're like texting you or calling you, you just feel like
it makes me feel like I know what I know, and I do know what I do.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It makes you feel because you put them in a better position. When people are in a better place and position, guess who benefits from that? Their young ones, their kids, their other families. They also get encouraged and excited about just wanting to do something. So, especially in our being Latino and all that, it almost feels like, bro, it's long reach before I can get that property. Yeah. But it's there. It's just there with the right people, with the right information, right resources. It could all happen.
Yep. Well, thank you guys for another great show. Thank you all for watching. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Also, check out our other channel where Will, Brian, and myself interview and talk with our friends in and around mortgage and real estate called Friends of Mortgage Heroes. Check out that channel. We have some amazing guests. We've had some awesome people in 2024 and even more coming up that I hope surprises you, but in a really good way.
Yeah.
Lots of really interesting conversations surrounding real estate law, tenant law, investing, other things like that. So thank you guys for a great show today. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you again next week.
Can I say my favorite part of the show?
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. I forgot a part of the show. So do it.
My favorite part of the show, houses before spouses.
Yes.
Ladies before babies. Tacos before vatos. You don't have to do it the traditional way.
That's it. That's awesome. I like that. Yo, that's a good one. All right.
I don't even have one.
Yeah, no.
That's it. Let's end it on that. Thank you guys. See you guys next week. Bye.
Houses for spouses, and we're out.
And we're out.